We are live. Hello, everybody. This is Bruce Lombardo with Bruce Lombardo 75 or Bruce Lombardo of Dick's Division. Tonight, me and Janet will be hosting the discussion and review of the 2007 movie Lars and the Real Girl. It stars Ryan Gosling and I'm drawing a blank.
Emily Mortimer.
Yep.
And Paul Schneider.
And Paul Schneider.
Yeah.
This movie was released on an independent budget back in 2007. It is a interesting film. Would I recommend it? Please stay tuned. Janet, I want to ask you, why did you recommend that we watch this film?
Well, because I had seen it years ago, and it was independent. I'm very adamant about trying to watch as many independent movies as I can, because I like to try to keep independent screenwriters and directors and production companies in the works, and to try to support them, because I think it's very important. And then once I saw the trailer for it, I thought it was very interesting, and I liked Ryan Gosling. So that's why I watched it in the first place.
I don't know a woman that does not like Ryan Gosling.
Well, he's cute and he's a good actor. Two good movies to like him.
He did not ruin the movie for me. He did not ruin Blade Runner 2049 for me either. That was another film I'm pretty intimate with because I've watched it far too much. For it not being as good as I want it to be, I've watched it about 7 or 8 times. And then you said, it's a Ryan Gosling movie. And I said, well, I'll try it. Because I watched Drive.
Mm-hmm.
Drive was good. This movie is really good. This movie, for the first half hour, I was just laughing hysterically, going, babe, you got to come and watch this. Babe, you got to come and watch this. And I'm just laughing like a hyena. And I'm thinking, this is a movie that I can't believe they made it. Like, this is about mental illness.
Mm-hmm.
And part of me is going just like, make fun of him, make fun of him, make fun of him. And I did for about a half hour. And then the scene where he takes Bianca, rewind. His coworker, who he shares a cubicle with,
mm-hmm.
is always looking at questionable items on company internet. And he gets to work. When you're introduced to the coworker's like, you gotta check this out. I don't want to see porn today. Well, it's not porn. Well, it is, but it's not. What the fuck is it?
Yep.
It's not porn. It's a doll. It's a doll. It's a multi-$1,000 anatomically correct doll.
Mm-hmm.
She is lifeless. There is no AI in it. There's nothing in this thing. So
you never thought you'd watch a movie with a real sex doll in it and they don't have sex.
Yeah, he buys a sex doll, but he has her sleep in his brother's house. He sleeps in the garage. Him and his brother, raised by a single father. Single father did not do well as single father. He tried. He failed. And the younger son, I guess, the guy acts like a younger brother.
Yeah, he is. The younger brother is Lars, because the older brother left home to get away from the sadness of his dad's depression or whatever, and left to get out of there as fast as he could. And he felt guilty later on when he realized his brother was having some type of psychosis, that he left his brother and he blamed himself. You remember the conversation he had with his pregnant wife when he tells her that he feels guilty, that it was his fault? Remember that part?
Yes.
Okay, so.
I remember that because I've seen the movie twice now.
Okay. Well, I've seen it about 12 times. And I just got people, my sister Kathy and my sister Jennifer, they both watched it with their daughters. So hopefully they'll be in the chat and maybe they'll ask us some questions and stuff, because I didn't get a chance to ask them what they thought. Sandy also watched it, my other sister. And she didn't like it. She thought the movie sucked.
She thought what?
She thought the movie sucked. She said it wasn't a comedy at all. And I said, I didn't say it was a comedy. I said it was like a dramedy. It has comedy in it. So the
situational
to be different. Yeah.
There's situational humor in there. It's not truly a comedy. It's got a lot of drama. It's got a lot of like, what did you do in it? His coworker shows him these dolls, and he tells his brother when he gets home a few days later, hey, I've got a girlfriend. She's moving in, and she's going to need a place to stay. Oh, okay, cool. And so when he introduces them to his sister, or to his brother and his sister-in-law, to this thing, I'm not going to call it a person.
Yeah, I can understand. The brother didn't want to either. It was a big hunk of plastic. Remember?
Yeah.
So, and I thought they did a very good job at portraying two people shocked by what they're seeing.
Yeah. I saw this. I didn't watch a trailer until the first viewing.
Mm-hmm.
Look who's coming to dinner. You get a better welcome as if you brought a stripper home.
Yeah, she's dressed like a stripper because the outfit that came with her when he ordered her. And the story that he told his brother about where she came from and stuff is probably the story that they had on the website when you ordered the doll and what her name was. You didn't see that part, but when the brother was looking at the other sex dolls, they had stories and names and everything.
Yeah,
so
I remember that.
Kind of gives you the inkling that that's what's going on.
It looks like Kathy's in here, and so is Shadow and Sun, a few other people. Hey guys, thanks for showing up tonight. When they have the guess who's coming to dinner moment, this is at dinner. I'm just laughing way too much because I would be that brother. Like, I can't say nothing. I've got a retarded brother that thinks it's a real person. He's acting like it's a real person.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't, for a half hour, like I said, I was just emotionally beating up this character for like, why can't you get a nice, real person? So
I know.
Yeah, you can't watch this movie with like your son, okay? Don't watch it with your 13-year-old. Watch it with your wife, maybe. But 45-minute mark, something changes. Because everybody in town starts to kind of like realize, you realize that you weren't there for like the first 20 years of Gosling's character's life. He's there and he's been suffering and he doesn't touch well. You can't hug the guy. And he's just weird. So the town is just letting him go on with this. And everybody is sharing emails, letting each other know, hey, listen, the strange guy that his mommy died at childbirth, you need to just go along with it. We're going to see what happens here. Hopefully nothing seriously bad. And I had to say, like, it was probably the best performance I've ever seen from Brie Larson. It was Brie Larson's greatest movie because she emoted better than she did in any other film I've seen. In fact, I'm going to refer to the actress known as Bianca as Brie Larson.
Which one? Oh, you thought Brie Larson was the doll?
No, Brie Larson wants to be the doll because that is better acting than what Brie Larson can do.
Oh, okay. Because I was like, she's not in the movie. I didn't know what you were talking about.
Well, Brie Larson usually plays a stick of wood.
Oh, okay. Well,
I'm still kind of irritated with this film, but at about the 45 or 50-minute mark, I started seeing the sympathy that everybody in town has for this guy. And they're starting to kind of circle the wagons around him and like, you go ahead. You pretend that this is a real person and just put her in public and do public stuff with her, and we'll try not to laugh and snicker, okay? But you go ahead and you think this because you've never been with a woman before, and we got to watch how this ends. That was how
I did. That's not how I looked at it at all when I first saw it.
How'd you look at it?
Well, I loved the movie because I thought it was heartwarming and it was about love and acceptance to me. Okay, even though the movie was about a sex doll, there's nothing really kinky or tawdry or anything in the core of this movie. It's kindness and support for Lars and his family and his community, his church community, because he's very religious. His sister-in-law is pregnant, and he's talking about how dangerous it is and stuff, so he snaps into a psychosis thinking that she's going to die, just like his mother did. And, he let her use his mother's blanket that she handmade him when she was pregnant. So I picked up on all that stuff, okay? So when this happens and the brother sees it, he's not realizing why his brother was so quirky and off and weird in the first place, because he just accepted him that way. That he left, came back with a wife when his dad died, and took the house. So basically, his brother was just like that. He just accepted him that way as a weirdo. Okay, but the brother had problems ever since he was a kid because his dad. Who knows what happened? You don't know for sure what happened to him. We don't think he was abused or anything, but I think that's what came across to me. But I thought this movie gave like a rare insight on how someone might deal with a mental disorder. Okay, because he has a mental disorder as soon as he gets the doll. Okay, as soon as the doll shows up, I realize, he's snapped. He's having really bad emotional issues, and how is everyone going to handle it? Well, his sister already knew something was wrong. She didn't know what, but she told her husband that something was wrong because she could tell her. And the reason I think so is because she's a woman and she was looking at him as a woman would look at another person, as a mother. She's about to become a mother, so her maternal instincts were kicking in like her husband thought, right? But I just thought it just showed how it's important it is how we handle disorders, how different people handle it. So when they took her, Bianca, to the doctor, okay, basically, because something was wrong with her, she had something wrong with her, whatever, she needed a checkup. The sister and brother decided to do that. That was the best thing they did because they wanted the doctor to see him. They're not worried about the doll because they know she's not a real person, but they know that Lars thinks it's a real person. So by setting that up is to get the doctor to see it and see what the doctor thinks, because she is a psychiatrist too, see? So that when she went there, she realized, okay, he's having some kind of psychosis, but we don't know why. I'm going to try to figure it out. So they fix it up to where that he thinks that Bianca's having some kind of treatment for her sickness, and she does like sessions with him while she's being treated. So he would accept that way, okay? But the thing is that I loved how the different people handled what they thought about the weird circumstances. You know what I mean? The people from the church were different. A lot of people stared at him and made fun of him. And then you had other people like his brother making the comments about, that she's not real, the different comments that he did until he realized how sick his brother really was. And that's when he realized maybe it's my fault because I upped and left him there. I left my little brother with a very depressed man who'd lost his wife, and we don't know what kind of stuff the dad might have said to him to cause him to think it was his fault that his mom died. And now his sister-in-law is going to die when she has her baby. See, that's in his mind. It's very delicate, the situation that happened to him as a child and what he went through. We don't know, but we're assuming it couldn't have been good if he's having this psychosis. Then you got the young girl that really likes him at work, that's always thought his quirkiness and stuff was attractive or something because she's very attracted to him. But so she takes his psychosis totally different because all she wants to do is take care of him because she really likes him, even though they're not boyfriend and girlfriend. So I saw that part of it. But like when the sister-in-law asked the therapist, how can I help? She wants to help. She's ready to step in and do whatever she can to help her brother-in-law, and then they all take times out of their schedules to include Bianca into their, jobs or whatever to help him feel like they're accepting her. And all of these things are reassuring him that, just like when the sister-in-law gets that mad at him when he's chopping wood, he's mad because they had their first fight with Bianca, the fake woman. She says, we did all of these things. We didn't do it for Bianca. We did it for you. Without actually telling him that she knew Bianca was fake, she wanted him to understand that we did all of this for you. So somewhere in there, I think that the real him was really thinking about it inside, but his psychosis wouldn't let the real part of it come out because he was still stuck in whatever problems he was having mentally. You see what I mean? But the thing is that as we start to have feelings for Bianca, you know what I mean? When he starts being mad at her and getting angry with her because she's spending too much time away and stuff, we kind of have sympathy for Bianca because he's turning into a total jerk,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of stupid, but I did have feelings. But I did cry when the brother told his wife what he did, that he blamed himself. It made me see his brother's growth because he's about to be a dad, and he starts to think like a dad about how important it is to think about your actions and how it's going to affect someone else. See, I looked at that. That's how I saw him. I saw him as a growth because he realized his brother's got a real problem, and now we've really got to help him, and it's partly my fault, so I am going to try to help him hard. I'm going to work harder at trying to help my brother. That's what I saw in that one scene.
Janet,
and they all have a hands-on
your sound, you are kind of staticky.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I can understand you just fine. I imagine our people in the chat can too. But I just want you to be aware that your microphone needs to be backed up a little bit or whatever you're doing.
Let me see for audio.
George Lucas doesn't like Brie Larson either. And I'm a George Lucas fan. I'm honored to have George Lucas in our chat tonight.
Yeah, that's good. Does that sound a little better?
Much.
Okay, well, I turned it up and I set it up for this to do it itself or something in the settings to adjust it.
Whatever you did, it came out clearer. You don't have the static going on right now. Whatever you did, just keep it going.
Okay. Okay. I did that part about the brother blaming himself. It's like when he starting to argue with her and stuff, and then he makes the decision that she's very sick and she's dying. It was his own self, his own brain, trying to get out of it, trying to get out of the situation.
Yes.
Okay, so.
And I felt sorry for him. I felt sorry for him. That was a lot.
When he brought the doll in, and I felt sorry for him then.
I can
So
understand that.
I felt sorry for him at that point. But I cried when the brother said what he did about how he blamed himself. And then I cried when the sister got upset with him and told him that we did this for you. You know, that whole scene made me cry because I felt I could understand where she was at, you know, that she's bending over backward, dressing this doll, doing all these things for him, and he's being an ass, you know. So,
You have no right to be like that.
well, he didn't. I didn't think he did, even though he was ill. But but I was proud of her for standing up to him and telling him the truth. So that made me like that. I loved her. I thought she was such a good little actress too.
This entire movie looks like it could be shot in a small rural community.
Mm-hmm. I think it was. I mean,
Um,
I didn't look that part up. I need to, I guess.
I should look up where the locations were for it being shot, but it looked, for some odd reason, because of the friends that I have from small town America, I thought it was like Minnesota, but they were missing the accent. So it had to be somewhere else, maybe on the East Coast. Vermont, Connecticut, somewhere.
Yeah, I don't think they ever really said where they were at during the whole thing. You know what I mean? I don't remember them talking about what town they were in.
Alton, Ontario, Canada is the town they were filmed at.
Yeah, but they didn't say what town that supposedly they were in for the movie.
Hi, the noob reviews. It was weird watching it because when you're seeing everybody discussing, like they're getting together and they're kind of pre-gaming how they're going to act with him and how they're going to try to treat Lars's girlfriend when they're all involved with this, and you can see them just tiptoeing emotionally around the issue. And whatever had happened with Lars and his brother, it made the movie feel like it was lived in before the movie started. Whatever happened between Gus and Lars, those people in town loved their family. And they knew whatever had happened, there had been a lot of drama, there had been a lot of family issues, and they're trying their best not to let Lars fall down. And Gus is just there trying to sort things out in his head because he doesn't realize that he's part of the problem yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I mean about the growth that the brother went through. That's what I liked about it, was the fact that you knew the town, knew the family, especially the older women that were sitting around crocheting and knitting when Bianca was supposed to be dying, you know, and sickly or whatever. And he's like, how bad he felt about it. And then they said, this is what we do. We sit around and we wait and we be patient or whatever. And you need to eat. You know, it was like they were all like trying to mother him, you know, a little bit. And I thought that was sweet. But the fact that a lot of these people you saw in the church, when he was at church, you see them in the pews. So these are people that grew up watching these boys grow up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Even though the mother and the dad are not in it, but the house is still there. And you can tell just from the acting and the way that they went around everything that these people knew that his mother died and that the father had a hard time, but he didn't leave. Just like his son said, Dad didn't leave. He could have put us in an orphanage, but he didn't. He stayed and tried to take care of us. What the older brother was telling Lars about how he should have stayed and helped his brother instead of just up and leaving. But he was a kid too, you know. He was a teenager, and he just wanted out of the. I mean, all of us. I mean, when I was 17, I moved out. I had I shared a room with two sisters, and I was like, I wanted to get the heck out of Dodge as soon as I graduated, and that's what I did. So I can understand that part of it too, about the one brother wanting to get out, because he's blaming himself now, because now he's about to start his own family, and he's looking at things a little different, more as an adult, like when his brother's asking him, how did you know that you were a man?
Yep.
So that whole situation, I wish I had a brother. I would have loved to have had a brother to find out what it's like to have a brother, but I didn't get the opportunity to have a brother. I had 4 sisters, but I thought they did a really, really good job at, even though they really didn't look anything alike or whatever, you know, as siblings or whatever, but I got siblings that don't look just like me either. So I just thought the whole interaction between those 2 actors, there was good chemistry. But I thought there was good chemistry with all the actors, even the woman that played the doctor. What was her name? Hold on. Let me look. I have that on my notes.
I'm going to need you to readjust your microphone.
Okay. Hold on.
Chat, please be patient. We are not a professional stream. We're amateurs, and we do like what we talk about. We enjoy movies. I think in a previous life, i.e. before COVID, a lot of us here, a lot of our enjoyment in life came from the ability for us to be able to go and just relax with a bucket of popcorn and maybe a frosty drink at the local cinema on a hot summer day. So I'm going to ask you to be patient for a second. I can hear Janet in the background beating on.
Okay, how do I sound now?
Where was this voice? This is great.
Okay, I took the headphones out. Remember last time I couldn't talk at all? I couldn't hear anything. So I took the headphones completely off. Does it sound better now?
Much.
Okay, well, good. They're off now, and I can hear you, so that's great. How's
Okay. I don't understand how you. Okay, we'll roll with it.
that? Just took off my headphones and put them back in the case. That's it.
Okay. Your sister says it looked like Bangor, Maine. Bangor, Maine is where
one of my sisters was born. So I wouldn't remember. I was a little back then.
Well, this movie, it looked like I knew it was up north. And when I say up north, I'm going to say north of I-20. For those of you not familiar with America, I'm thinking maybe the Mason-Dixon line up north of that. No,
Mhm.
the location for filming was in Canada. And it's one of the things they say is that I thought winter was over. No, it's just a spring thaw. And they have snow in this movie. And I looked at it and I was like, yeah, no, not for me. I'm good. So I really, oh shit, I forgot something. Hold on, guys. Okay. There we go. This stream is much better. The stream has been approved 400% because I've got William Shatner's toupee from his Vic 20 advertisement in 1978.
Okay.
So I really enjoyed looking at the locations, and just everything about this movie screamed authenticity. It looked like whoever did the location scouting, they went into this town and they made nice with everybody from the highway department to mayor's office to just getting the people to, please, we're going to be filming a movie. There are these days we're going to be shooting, and they weren't having a lot of problems filming. The filming, I didn't hear any problems whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
And they kept they whatever it was. I mean, because they filmed in a small town, they probably could control the traffic a lot more. They could probably do more with the actual community itself and not have issues with, like, you know, we were going to film a scene with him walking and the 20 people start driving their pickup trucks by and screaming, "Woo!"
They didn't. It's because they didn't seem like it interrupted the movie at all.
No, They went in that town and they must have like just given them a lot of money, or the town must have realized this is an idyllic town that you want to film a community in, and they just let him roll with it. Never in my life have I watched a movie and I thought this set's perfect. And then the actors makeup department was like non-existent. Okay, thank you, Vanessa. Need a skateboard and a backpack, you'll fit right in with the kids, Bruce. Yeah, exactly. I know, right?
Oh.
Smooth. So I'll the town looks great, but the people that are represented in this community, like just the townsfolk that are shown in the movie, they are not glamorous. This is like, I don't want to say middle America because there's some Canadians that might be in the chat later. Hey, this was filmed in Canada, yeah, hey, whatever they say in Canada. But this is like regular people in their natural environments. And the leading lady, Emily Mortimer, she doesn't look anything like her character in this movie. She's kind of a chameleon. I mean, you can make her up and she's really pretty, or you can frump her down and she's just like normal, like a 5 out of 10.
Yeah.
And then you have the girl that played Margot, Kelly Garner. Kelly Garner in this movie doesn't wear a shred of makeup. On her IMDb page, completely night and day from what you see in the movie, which is kind of nice because like she's really pretty. I know a few other people that are really pretty without makeup, but like you can tell she's cute, but she literally looks like the girl next door.
And that's basically what they wanted, I think. So each of the characters, to me, whoever did the, picking the characters for each person, and even the reverend at the church, and I don't know what her name is, the woman that was like, the one that was always getting on to him, you shouldn't talk to her like that, when she's putting her in her car to take Bianca to something she was supposed to do when he got upset later. That older woman, I cannot remember her name right this second, but she was very hands-on with him. So it seemed like she was closer to the family and with the daughter-in-law or the daughter or the wife, his brother, wife, than the rest of them, because she seemed more hands-on with coming to the house and picking up Bianca and putting her in her car and taking her to do different stuff, whatever she's doing, because we know when she leaves, she's not really doing anything, like having her sit in the window at the department store, when she's in a wheelchair, she's not real, but she's using her as a mannequin, basically. So basically, they weren't really using her. She wasn't doing anything because she's not a real person. But each of the people were thinking of ideas and ways that they could use this doll, like holding the book and letting the kids think that she's reading to them because it was a read out loud book, things like that. So the ingenuity behind all of it was just, I thought was really, really good. And it would really, God, wouldn't it be awesome if we could actually live in a world where people would come together like that and help someone in their community?
I almost lived in a town like that.
Yeah, I would. If someone called me and said that my brother is in psychosis and he has this going on, would you be willing to help out? I would be one of the people that said, sure, I'll take her and let her work at the daycare or whatever. I would have volunteered to do it, because that's me, though. I would do that. Now, other people might say, no, he's nuts. I'm not getting in the middle of this. You know what I mean? But, and some of them did. Some of them just stared at him when he walked by and,
they couldn't help it.
Like the lady that had the flowers that day, and the other woman that I was talking about took the flowers from her and just gave them to Bianca, put it in her lap. That woman, that actress, was the one that was very hands-on, motherly to Gosling's character. So you had some that like was a step above everyone else. And then that party right there that you're showing the picture of, the husband and wife, okay, the way the husband looked at him and stuff, you could tell he was like, oh my God, this guy is nuts. But he kept his mouth shut because he knew his wife would probably kick his ass if he didn't do what he was told. But I like the banter between them, and then the other people all hanging out in the kitchen, just like looking in there, going, "I'm not going in there," because I'm going to crack up laughing. Basically, is what you could tell a lot of them did, but and I just thought they did. I just really liked this movie. I just thought it was very heartwarming, and it made me wish that we could have a world where people would treat each other that way. Give everyone an opportunity to help another out of the goodness of your heart, not because you're being paid or because you're getting something out of it, but because you really gave a crap about somebody's. Because like the brother tells his wife, he's never going to get better, is he?
Yeah.
And, because he was realizing that it's over, that he's never going to have the same relationship that he had with his brother before, because now he can't look at him the same. He can't look at him as a man anymore. He looks at him as someone who's sick. Okay. And the wife just says, I don't know. And the doctor even, she didn't know what to think. Like when she was talking about him not being able to touch his skin. And she's like, well, he goes, I wear layers of clothes, things like that. So she's finding out things about him that she didn't know because he wasn't her patient.
And this guy's lived in the same town with all of these people for over 20 years.
Yeah, his whole life.
His entire life. He's never been outside of 5-10 miles of this place. He's been there. He's lived there. That was it. And so these people haven't really known him that much. They've dealt with him. They've accommodated him. But now they're getting to know him. And this lady that plays the doctor, Patricia Clarkson. She stole the show. She stole the show for me.
She is so good at her job. As an actress, I just thought she was phenomenal in this movie. As a believable character to me. Yeah. Even though this movie is really an unbelievable movie. It's not a movie that you would normally be able to read the script and say, there's no way they can make this into a movie and people believe it. But I cried 3 times. So when the sister looks out the window and he's outside with Bianca in the yard, I started crying because she's looking at him going, what am I going to do? How am I going to help this guy? That's what I was thinking she's thinking, even though she doesn't say anything. She's just looking out there. I have brothers-in-laws, and what if my brother-in-law, something like that happened to him? How could I help him? How could I help my sister help her husband? That's the kind of thoughts that went through my mind when I was watching this, because it made me think, what can I do? And that one line that the pastor says, what would Jesus do? I love that line from the pastor, when he's talking to parishioners about how we're going to handle this. And they're like, it's a sex doll, But the thing is, even though it was a sex doll, it looked like a real one to me, but it wasn't used in any way at all that you would think when you see the trailer. You might hint that, it's a sex doll. It's funny. It's going to be, it's going to be dirty innuendos. But to me, I didn't get anything like that. Not at all. To me, he looked at her as a real person. When she showed up, she was real to him.
Travis, I didn't know how to think of this film. At the moment where I'm being asked to watch this movie, I just thought, it's Janet. She's asked me to watch it. I'm a friend of hers. I'll do it. And the movie the first half hour, I don't know if you heard this or not, but I just wanted to laugh at the film and make fun of it because the guy bought a sex doll. He's playing cosplay with his entire community. He's telling people, I've got a girlfriend. I've got a girlfriend. I've got a girlfriend. And making you play along. Oh, I gotta hang out with Lars because him and his girlfriend are going bowling tonight. Honey, can you get an extra plate for Bianca? Somebody get her some more coffee.
Mm-hmm.
I think Bianca needs to go to the bathroom. You know, it's like, oh. So you have to wrap your head around that. But once you start to see what this film is, like after the 45-minute mark, I'm in it. I bought it. The movie is good. And I'm thinking this town bought into it. They're telling him we're gonna take Bianca out tonight. Really? I mean, I probably would do the same thing if one of my friends got when my friend Chuck got divorced.
Mm-hmm.
I brought him down to San Antonio a couple of years later for his anti-divorce party, anti-marriage party. And I'm like, dude, we're gonna be rooming in the same hotel room. Be like whenever we used to stay the night, pretty much like you'd be in the same room, whatever, but you're gonna be hanging out. For 5 days we hung out, did the brotherly thing where like, you know, hey, this hotel has hookers. We've been late since you've been divorced. let me pay it forward. Here's $300 to Miss Tiffany. You know. Sunshine over here. Spend a half hour with you, Chuck. Go spend some half hour time with her. Go wait for him in the lobby. And that's one thing where you're like, you kind of cosplay like, I'm being a nice person. I'm being a good friend. But I don't know if like my friend could like, do I love my friend enough to role play with him like you've got a plastic sex doll girlfriend and I'm gonna do everything I can to not ruin the illusion because you are damaged. And I started thinking like this after 45 minutes, like, man, I would have, if that was my brother.
What would you do though? Think about it. Try to put yourself in that position. If someone you really cared about, your best friend or your brother or your uncle or whatever, and you were told by by them that he is having some type of psychosis, and at this moment he thinks that she's a real person. I knew, okay, don't laugh at me, but when years ago there was a woman and a husband, young, they didn't have any children, but I remember going over to their house one day and they had a baby swing with a doll in it, and they had a playpen with another doll in it. And they had baby toys around and stuff. And both the dolls were dressed. And these were like those real expensive dolls that look like a real baby. Okay. And I was like, I didn't think nothing of it at first. But then when she wound up the swing, I was like, what's going on? And she goes, oh, we want babies so bad that I bought these twins. And I'm just trying to get myself ready to be able to be a mom and be used to having this kind of stuff in my house. And I was like, oh, okay. But I still didn't think it was normal, but I didn't make fun of her for it. That was just something they did. And these are supposedly normal people. So what I'm saying is you don't know. But hey, I watched 2 or 3 documentaries after I saw this movie to find out more about these real dolls. I mean, there's documentaries on YouTube and on Netflix and other places that you can watch. And these are real people that have dolls like this in their house. They dress them, they bathe them, and they do other things with them. And these are real people that walk among you in your towns. Okay. So to see it used in a totally different aspect to help somebody through a psychosis, I thought it was refreshing in that way of it. But I'd already seen the movie years and years before. So, I don't know. But I just thought it was a heartwarming movie about mental illness. That's how I took it.
And that was the part of the movie where when the doctor is kind of educating everybody and saying, we got to wait. We're going to let him. He's already got us sold on this. He's got a girlfriend doll. So we're going to see what happens. And I'm not going to really point out anything wrong with her in my diagnostics. I'm going to let him determine it.
Mm-hmm.
Because he will be either pushing it on forward or he's going to stop it. And if he stops it, we might have a breakthrough.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was kind of neat how she was kind of putting the kibosh on telling everybody like how to behave, how to act, and she just kind of was an authoritarian and let him do this because there's some damage here and we got to figure out if it's fixable, and if he can help repair it first, that'd be best. And the movie happens to let him see, because of Bianca going in his life, he's able to actually interact with his coworker. And Margot, the lady who does crush on him, when she gets her boyfriend from work, that was kind of, and this reminded me of like a small town, a super small town that I think a lot of us know about, that they have one or two businesses there. And if you live in this town, you work there. You work 1.6 or 4.2 miles away from where you live.
And you know everybody outside of work.
And so, yeah. And so, like, this one guy with zero personality hits on Margot, and she says, sure, the guy I was interested in now has a sex doll. So she goes out with him. And whenever Lars sees Margot with this charisma zero dude, he gets kind of jealous. And I think that was where that all began, where he saw an exit, where he's like, I don't have to pretend I have a girlfriend anymore because I kind of want her. But he didn't know how to verbalize it because he's never thought about things in that follow through aspect, to where he has a completion of, I'm going to go from being a man who dates to a man who keeps.
Yeah, and that part where Lars is at the hospital or at the doctor's office, and she's supposed to be doing the treatment on Bianca, and he says he wanted to stay in there with her, and she's like, okay, I'll stay in here too. Okay, because the whole thing is because it's for him anyways. But then he says, I'm really upset, and she's like, why? And he said, well, I asked Bianca to marry me, and then you could see the look on her face. She's like, oh shit, this is way worse than I thought.
Yeah,
Which the look on her face. But then he says, but she said no. So then you see her eyebrows go up, and she's like, okay, that's a breakthrough. She realizes that something is about to change. She just doesn't know how it's going to change, but she knows that if the doll said no, which is him, it's him saying no to himself.
yes.
What happened? What's going on? She's trying to find deeper, get into it in his
Why
head.
why is he denying himself bliss, marital bliss, with a woman who will never talk back, beg for money, say she's hungry, want chocolate, sex,
Won't get pregnant.
man?
None of the bad stuff.
You can dump your entire contents of your testicle bag, and it will never say I'm late. Which is why you would buy a sex doll. I'm not saying go do it; it's a good thing, but no, Travis, this movie does not really suck. It's the best movie Brie Larson was ever in. I say that as a total shitlord because, to me, that's who Bianca is. She's just quiet, unassuming, kind of charming. She's sleeping right now. I'm sorry. This movie made me think so many different things, and I socially analyzed myself after this. Like, if my friend Chuck, if he got married to a woman I couldn't stand, I'd be fine with it. He already did that to me once. He already married a woman that I thought was a miserable whim, and she had no reason for being in his life.
Yeah.
And then after she realized that he's going to stay in the town he's in, and he's not going to get much more financially secure. He's financially secure, but he's not going to get like $150,000 secure a year. So she left him, and then she called him for like 3 years afterwards, asking how he's doing and giving him hope needlessly. So we played along with that.
So she strung along.
Yeah, she did.
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah, she and I hated her, and I told him I'm like, your uncle was holding me down at the wedding. I was not allowed to stand up at your wedding and say, don't do it. I know how this ends. So,
but that's what a good friend is supposed to do. That's why you're a good friend, because you actually gave a crap about what is going to happen to him in his future. And that's basically what I was saying about this character in this movie, is that his brother was like, what the, you know,
Yeah,
the looks on their face when they first saw her, that was like, what? Oh my God, what
I
is
love
going on?
that look.
It's like they didn't know whether to take him serious or that he was pulling a prank on them, you know?
They could not take him serious, and it's
Yeah.
impossible to take serious.
Hmm.
And Travis, you're giving the movie a lot of grief. I get it. You don't like the concept of the movie, and you're within your right. You don't have to. I'm not going to force you to like watch this movie. I'm going to tell you that you should probably watch it just so if you ever have a family member that's making a fatal error, not a family member, if you ever have a friend getting ready to have a fatal error, maybe you will entertain the thought of playing along with it, being nice the whole time, and not being a complete and total dick like I wanted to be for the first 30 minutes of this movie. I'm laughing my ass off. Like, he bought a what? He spent like how much is a sex doll, Google? Oh, only $3,700 before shipping, not including taxes.
Hmm. Yeah,
So-
they're expensive. But he had a job, so it wasn't like he was mooching off his brother. He, you know, you could tell he had his own car, he paid his own way, basically, you know. So,
Yeah,
you know,
that
it wasn't like he was a moocher and using them to get the doll, you know, or whatever. It's like I said, when the brother goes downstairs and he's on his computer and he's looking up these sex dolls and they each have these stories and they have a name about where they come from and can you help this one, help her get away from this boring life or whatever. And basically Bianca, that's her name on the website probably, and the story that he talked about, you know, he might have added a few things to it, but basically he just took what he saw on there. And I thought it was kind of weird because to me, she resembled his sister-in-law a little bit. Her hair was longer, but you know, I don't know, you know, because she's pregnant and about to have a baby and she might die. And we talked about how dangerous it was.
Yep.
And then when she jumped on him and held him down on the ground, you could tell he was very uncomfortable. And then you find out later that he can't be touched, that he has he has a problem. And he said, the only one that can touch me is Bianca. See, in his mind, she could touch him and he could touch her and his skin didn't hurt. So that was a part of his problem, but no one knew about it because he never talked about it. His brother didn't even know he had that problem, you know?
They never touched. They as brothers, they never touch.
Yeah, because they're brothers, you know, and he never thought nothing bad about it. So basically, he was able to skirt through his life without having to interact. He socially interacted by just nodding his head or saying hi or whatever, and that was it. He didn't hug. He didn't shake hands.
None.
He'd go to work and he'd do his job and he'd go back home.
That was it. And
That's it. That was his life.
The only part of the movie I think where he touched somebody was when Margot and him shook hands after going to the bowling alley. They went to the bowling alley. That was it. They shook hands afterwards.
Yeah, and she thought that was weird because she didn't understand. But that was a huge step forward for him to actually touch somebody with his skin. Okay. She just thought it was awkward and weird that he wanted to shake her hand, you know, but he broke through. He had a huge breakthrough there when he shook her hand and actually touched her skin on his skin because he hadn't done that. Remember, every time the doctor tried to touch him, he was in agony. He thought he was going to die. Or at least he felt like he was because it was so painful. So every little thing that he went through, you could see that it was the small, subtle changes in him and the small, subtle changes in his brother, realizing that my brother's really sick and it's my fault, you know, and he felt guilty for it, but he did it. He was going in there to check on Bianca and make sure she was ready for bed with a glass of water, and his brother was laying in bed with her. So you could tell the brother was really trying to do this simply for his brother because he loved his brother and cared about him. So it showed growth. It showed growth in all the characters and how they sacrificed little bits of themselves to help somebody they cared about. And I just thought that was so heartwarming. And every day, you know, I hear people pray, I wish we could pray and get people to be nice to each other, or people to be more accepting and blah, 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 constantly.
More accepting.
But this movie was doing it, what was it, in 2007? Is that what you said when it came out? Okay. So this movie said that whole thing without saying it. If you just listened and paid attention to the movie was saying, wouldn't it be great if we had people that really did this for someone else with mental illness? And it didn't have to be a specific mental illness. The whole thing was, to me, was any mental illness. You know, it could be schizophrenia, it could be drug abuse, alcoholism, all these different things. What would you do? What are you willing to do for someone you care about when they have a mental illness or have a something like that in their life? What are you willing to do for them? You know, if it was you, if you had a snap. I mean, I had a friend in years ago in the Junior Chamber of Commerce, and his wife had been in a really bad car accident, and now she's in a wheelchair. Okay. It was devastating for the whole family. They had 2 small children, and the husband had a job, and the wife did have a job before. Well, after she started healing, she was never going to be out of a wheelchair. She was always going to be crippled. Okay. But she dealt with it. She went through therapy and did all this stuff, and she started getting on with her life and accepting that she was crippled. But her husband couldn't. He just was constantly, can I help you? What can I do for you? Let me help you with that. Let me do this. Let me do it. And doing everything for her. And it got on her nerves. She started telling me, I can't deal with this. I don't want to be with somebody that thinks I need help all the time. He looks at me like I'm handicapped, and it hurts. I love him, but I can't have him looking at me that I want him to look at me like he used to look at me as a woman, you know, that kind of thing. So after a while, she filed for divorce, and he was devastated. He started drinking. It crushed him because he could not get past the fact that she was crippled. It was his problem, not hers. She went on. She got help. She moved on with it. She realized, yeah, I'm crippled, but I'm still me. I'm still a woman. I still want to work. I still want to raise my kids, all these things. But her husband could never get past the fact that she was in a wheelchair, and it ruined their marriage. But, you know, and I felt sorry for both of them. You know, I was friends with both of them. But what do you do? You know, you tell them, oh, you're a stupid ass. Look what you did. You ruined your life. But he couldn't help it. He could not get over the fact that she was crippled. And, you know, some people can deal with it and some people can't.
And that statement right there, some people will, some people won't.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is that as much as we want to have that idyllic society, that nice society, there's some guys that they don't understand the words they say when they get married.
Mm-hmm.
In sickness and in health.
Or the women. Women are the same way. It's not just men.
Yeah, I know, but I know a lot of divorces around here started because of the female side, because of the fact we live in an environment that is highly petroleum and natural gas job dependent. Mm-hmm. And so you have a lot of guys that they'll find a girlfriend or a stripper, and they do things and they start a family. And they get married, and then like a year or two later, nosedive the economy. You know, the barrel price is $19 a barrel, and then like the wife leaves them. She takes the nice truck. She takes everything, and so you have like what's going on in our chat right now, where Shadow and Sons is like talking. Wait, you have a womb that you can buy in an artificial doll in Japan, and so now men's rights activists have their perfect moment to strike. They can just say, buy this sex doll. It comes with a womb. You can clone yourself, and you can continue your lineage. Mm-hmm. You can continue the things that you've got going good in your life. And you'll never have a fear of like divorce and losing your child, which is...
But you can do that now. You just get a surrogate. You can do that. You can pay a woman to have a baby for you now. if you have the money. See, the whole thing is it's money, and
Yeah,
it can be your legitimate child through DNA.
and the thing is that is we can do that now with surrogates, but when the technology gets to the point where we don't need to have a conversation, we just click the check mark on the item on eBay and then go to checkout, and then we get it home and we assemble, and we can pose it, whatever. There's no more, like, the human element's gone. We've lost the ability for us to have contact and communication the natural way and have arguments. That's over. Now we're just going to be a race of individuals that's just hitting replicate, and that's it. If you guys want to do it, I mean, it's there. If you want to spend your money, kind of a scary thought.
Yeah, but the thing is, the sad fact about that is that we can't do anything about technology. I mean, it's going to progress forward, and it's whether or not we want to stay human-like with human qualities. Do you want to have the gentle hug, a caress, a kiss, that glint in your eye when you look and you go, hey, I'm in the mood tonight. Let's get frisky. Do you want that? Do you want that subtle look, the gleam in your eye of the attraction, the chemical attraction between two adults that want to go farther, to share that intimacy? Or do you just want to pay someone? Or do you want to just have a robot or be by yourself? I mean, you can do that now. You know what I mean? But
Yes.
I like the playful banter between two adults. I mean, I need that. For me, I need the personal touch. I want a personal link. I don't think I could ever be one of those people that would be enjoying a robot or something. I just don't think I could do that. Even virtual reality, I don't think I could even. It's like some of those movies now that they have the virtual reality, or even thinking about linking my brain up to a computer and transcending, or whatever you want to call it. I'm not interested. I enjoy being a human. I enjoy the senses I have, scent and sight and hearing and touch and taste. I like all that too much to give it up.
You're seeing that. And I'm reading in the chat, and I'm thinking to
Oh,
myself,
I can't read the chat. I wasn't. I got it open, but I wasn't reading it. I was looking at your funny hairstyle on my iPad.
We've got some guys in the chat, like Trav. I'll go back here a bit. Travis, some men want to continue their genetic line and not have an adoption agency say no. Yeah. Like, we need to do our part in refreshing the gene pool. I agree, Kathy. Shadow and Sun, I hear you. I did my part a lot, and I'm old, and I'd give a throwaway kid a chance. So he's willing to buy one of these artificial wombs, and if they just had a stupid algorithm that would go for about a minute when it senses the door open in the afternoon, honey, how was your day? And you let the person speak for a minute, and after the silence is there for 20 seconds, the algorithm kicks in. Well, I'm glad that you're home now. And that would be it. Like, 80% of my buddies would be like, my fembot asked me how my day was. I grumble a little bit, and she's like, I'm glad you're home. And now I feel good. And I hate to say that, but I've got friends that they would actually tell me the benefits of having a fembot. And I'm thinking, we have jumped into Star Trek with this thought process, because now we do have the Muds women from Star Trek.
I have an Alexa in my house. Okay. Now she doesn't do that kind of stuff for me, but I talk to her and say, for her to look things up for me, and I ask her to turn the lights on and off and do all kinds of stuff so I can see how the attraction of AI is to some people. And I don't know where it might go, but as of today in my own life, that's not, I don't want to give up real life and a real human contact for a robot. A
woman, and a guy needs it too. Trust me, if we don't have a guy needing it, the guy grows up and he turns into Lars in this movie, where he just doesn't know how to touch people. He doesn't know how to give a hug or brotherly handshake. Doesn't happen. But like, women need to have that coddling. They need to have that like satisfaction of like knowing they gave their man a stiffy. You know, like there's nothing when you're in a relationship than seeing your girlfriend or wife's eyes light up when you know you have a
Okay, but the thing is, men do too, because
Yeah.
I many a times I'd go on a date and I'd tell him, "Damn, you look good tonight," you know, and he'd smiles or whatever and get that little glint in his eye. So men like compliments just like women do.
We love the affirmation.
Yeah, but that's your human qualities. That's exactly what I was talking about. Do we really want to give up that? I mean, just like they're saying, their AI is telling them, I hope I'm so glad you had a good day today. Whatever sexy voice they pick out for their avatar or
Can
whatever.
we just get this Fembot to have your voice? Let me get the order form.
I'll talk sexy. I can do it. But what I'm saying is, even anyone likes it. Anyone wants to feel needed and wanted and attractive, and special. You want to feel special. You want to feel like you're different than someone else. And how do you feel different? Is it if we're all cartoon, or what do you call it, a cookie cutter cutouts, and we all have the same figure and we all have the same hair color and the same eye color, and we're all the same, I'd be bored to shit. You know what I'm saying? I hate to say it, but when I was in high school, I went out. My sister made fun of me all the time because I'd go out with one guy and he was fat, and I would go out with another guy and he was real skinny, or I'd go out with a guy who was tall and a guy that was shorter than me. I didn't go out with guys because of what they look like. I went out with guys because they made me laugh, or they were funny, or they liked the same music as me. So yeah, I guess I was really a tomboy because I liked people for their personality. I wasn't interested in a guy because he looked like a Stretch Armstrong. Now I have a sister that did do that. I never saw her with a guy that could his arms straight down beside his body because they're always like pumped up looking, sticking out like a Stretch Armstrong. And I was like, I don't know why you think that's attractive, because I don't. I never thought Arnold Schwarzenegger or any of those kind of guys were real attractive. Just never did anything for me. But if a guy has a great smile and he's funny and he can make me laugh, that's one of my number one attractions to a guy, is a guy that is fun to be with. Someone that makes me feel like we're going to have a really good time bowling or whatever it is we do, camping, hiking, fishing, bike riding, roller skating. I don't care. As long as they enjoy it, we can have fun. It'd be great. It'd be fun.
I would be completely like, I'm married now, but if something happened and you're telling me that the opportunity exists, the opportunity's there, do you want to give up 2 years of your income basically because you're paying for a car already? Do you want to have a Fembot? No more argument. Man, that's a hard question to answer. Like, there's part of me that wants to be like that little guy in the movie Serenity, the numbers guy. He bought the Fembot, and she was smoking hot, and she did things like Shadow and Sun. The algorithm can help you have really deep conversations. And even more importantly, towards the end of the movie, she kind of helped Mal figure out what's going on by telling him, like, this guy killed me with a sword. That's cool, man. I've never been killed with a sword before. You know? And yeah, that is a really good movie, but it kind of shows you what they were wanting back in 2005. And this movie comes out 2 years later. Part of me wants to have the yes lady as the wife girlfriend, you know. Like,
lots of people do. That's why that industry is so successful. I mean, I watch, there's like so many documentaries out there about you can even, a woman can even get them. They have men ones. They have male dolls, okay? You can pick whatever hair color, any of the stuff that you want, you can get put on your doll, okay? But the thing is that it just depends on, I guess, on the person. I'm not saying I don't have a problem with it if a guy wants to get him a couple dolls and have him sitting there waiting for him when he gets home from work every day. That's fine. If he wants to buy sexy clothes for him, he can do that too. I don't have a problem with that because he has the right to do that, or she, but it's just not for me. It's not something I'm interested in. I don't want a doll. I want a real man. I want a real person to put their arms around me and have a conversation with me and tell me, that he thinks I'm hot. And I can tell him he's hot. Hey, baby, let's go in the kitchen and get some snacks and take them in the bedroom, whatever. We can do whatever we want because we're real people.
Yeah.
Now, if you have a doll, yeah, you can do whatever you want with your doll, but your doll's not going to interact with you. It's not going to tell you, they love you or that you're the best thing that ever happened to them. It's not going to be there for you. It's just going to lay there for you, So it to me, it's sad. I feel sorry for those people. I really do. But, it's each his own. Everyone can do whatever they want. That's a good thing about being a human. We are at the top of the food chain and we can pick and choose what we want to do with our lives. But I choose to want to be there for other people. That's what I choose.
And I think most of us are going to, as much as we are thinking like, wow, the fembot sounds pretty nice. Yeah. Most of us are going to go back to flesh and blood. We're going to go back to flesh and blood options and bang our head against that brick wall because the hunt for somebody that'll do is much more fun than 3 nights with a fembot. What'd you do with it? Everything. It needs to be disinfected.
Yeah, she needs to take it. Go put her in the hot tub, buddy. Clean her up. I mean, but you got to take care of it. It says so on those websites too. I went to a couple of those websites. Like I said, after I saw this, I was like, this is interesting. Is it real? So I did look it up and I was like, holy crap. It's amazing.
Did Austin Powers marry a fembot? I can't remember.
I don't think so. I know he was with a few fembots in some of his movies.
There was a fembot, and from the first movie to the second, I forget the character, but there was a fembot.
He wasn't married to her, though.
No.
He just had her there. And then there was another fembot that tried to kill him, was shooting him with her boobies, remember?
Yes.
The shotguns were chow, whatever. I remember that. I love those movies. Maybe we should watch those next.
They were good.
They were great. A comedy, a real one, not a dramedy.
Not a dramedy. A comedy. It'll split your side open.
But I'm happy. It really made me feel good that you were interested in watching something that I actually like. It's funny because my sisters, I'm always like, you need to watch this movie or you need, and they're like, why? Like, no, whatever. But sometimes they like them and sometimes they're like, it wasn't my type of movie. So
Shadow and Son says something. Imagine if your husband or wife dies and you could have a robot that looks, sounds, and acts just like her, not cheating at all, and the bot would be the closest thing to a clone you could have.
Mm-hmm. I never thought about it that way.
Neither have I.
It's not the real person still.
It's not the real person, but if it sounds and acts, has that algorithmic touch that she has, that might be the way to go, because like you can still have your person and you don't have to worry about like the cancer eating her alive now. Now you can just go do things with her and buy a dog. You're going to need.
I don't know. That might be interesting because honestly, that might be very interesting because I don't know. After seeing that movie, The Island, years ago about the clones. Yeah, that was a very good movie. Very well made too. That's another good movie. There's tons of good movies out there. But that movie made me realize that I don't think I could do that by growing a clone to replace someone. Like I thought about that after my mom died. Wouldn't it be cool if I could take some of my mom's hair and have my mom made? But it wouldn't be made as my mom. It'd be a baby.
Yeah. See?
So I'd have to wait a long time to have it even look like what I remember my mother looking like. And so it wouldn't be the same thing. You would have. That's why if they were to do it, they'd have to make a clone for you at your birth, basically. So it would grow up and be you. You know, it wouldn't be you, still wouldn't be you, because you are a product of your environment, who your mother was, who your father was, who your friends were, the things you went through in your life. All those things are what make you you. So even if you had a clone that wouldn't be you, even though it looked exactly like you and had the same DNA as you, it still wouldn't be you unless it grew up right next to you and went through the same experiences you did. So that's why the robot idea would be better, because the robot would be whatever you made it. Even though it looked like it would act more like it and sound like it, the person you were trying to make it like, because it was a robot, not a clone. So I
Travis,
would rather have the robot than I would a clone.
yeah. Travis states, we can eat who we want to eat.
Yeah, I agree with him.
Not divorce laws don't change, Bruce. Hoses it down. Nipple guns from Travis.
Yep.
Machine gun jigglies.
Yep, that was from that movie. So I was talking about.
If your fembot can help you get over the loss of a child or a loved one, would it really be a good idea? It'd be a great idea if it could actually help you and get you to where you could have closure. I think that would be
what the movie was about.
that was what we watched for an hour and 40 minutes or so, and that entire movie really helps with that question, because I would much rather have. I'm going to explore something here. I was almost put into a coma last August, and I don't know if I would have came out of it, but I was told that if I went into it, my brain would probably be active and I would be going through various thoughts. It's trapped. It can't really get out. The sensations would be dead. It'd be a sleep that I probably would have to be medically brought out of, and they didn't think they had the chance to do it. But it's an opportunity. If you ever are forced to be in a coma, if you can take control of what's going on in your head, and if you could construct your own mental holodeck,
Mm-hmm.
you can live that reality out in your head, and you can bring it to a point where you can get your closure. You're going to be better off when you're brought out of that coma. You're going to be better off. You're going to be able to go forward, even though you have to be brought to the reality or the realization that no, you were in a coma. You were not somewhere else. You were right here in this hospital bed. And you can infer to the doctors, like, while I was here, my brain gave me a place, a pasture to wander around and get through some things that I needed to fix. And I think maybe, wow, isn't there a movie, Dreamscape or something, with Natalie Wood and Chris Walker? They do stuff like that.
Yeah, remember he wanted to follow it to find out what happened after you died.
Yes.
And she was afraid that if he did, he wouldn't come back from the dead, that he would die. But he just wanted to see what there was.
Yeah.
And that one guy, remember that one guy? He used it for sex.
Yes.
Okay, so I mean, I'm just saying, there's so many cool movies out there that actually go deep into the psychosis, different types of psychosis, and what the brain is capable of doing. So to me, though, exactly what you were just saying about using a doll or a robot to help someone get through a death or past the loss of someone that they truly loved, to help them get past it. I don't know. I don't think that would be a bad thing, especially if there was people around, professionals, to help you deal with it, just like they did in this. Because see, everything that happened in the movie, as soon as the doctor was involved, I felt better about it, because it was being controlled by a professional. It wasn't just the brother and sister trying to help him deal with his psychosis with a
No,
dog.
they enlisted help. They got help
Immediately.
they didn't sit and be like, oh, I wonder what's going to happen. No, as soon as they realize that their brother's having a problem that's above their pay grade, they stopped trying to punch above their weight, and
Mhm.
they got Mrs. Clarkson in there, and she started to work her magic.
Yeah.
And the part of the movie where I really started to get hope was when he's in the office and they're just talking, and he grabs that bird toy that balances on its beak off of the shelf, and
Mhm.
he asks her about her marriage, and she talks about her husband dying. And not long after she answers that, he drops the bird, and you see him fumbling around for it, trying to get it back up. And he's like, I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry. And he's trying to put himself in somebody else's shoes. But whenever he's starting to do that, that's part of his brain saying, it's okay. There's other people that are hurt. And that
Mhm.
was where I knew the movie would take an upward swing. As much as I might have seen the trailer,
Mhm.
I didn't care what the trailer said. I've been lied to about trailers before, but the
Yeah.
movie made me realize that when he was getting the discussion in with that doctor, that was where my hopes were confirmed, and we had
Mhm.
a chance to see him reassembling reality the way it needed to be. And he realized that he needed to learn how to touch people. He needed to learn how to touch people. He wasn't gonna
And
be.
how to be touched
Yes,
and how to accept being touched.
yes.
Yes.
And
Mhm.
that was where I knew things were going upward for him. When he took her bowling, and afterwards, he's not thinking about the doll at home. He's
Mhm.
thinking about this woman in front of him.
Mhm.
And I was happy to see that because it felt like an organic conversation, like two grown adults who are professional writers sat down and they started discussing how would somebody who's socially awkward react to somebody who had a vested interest in them, that had already the desire to be part of their life, and
Mhm.
how would this go? And they went on this script. They didn't do it in a half hour.
Mm-mm.
That script was worked over for weeks or
Mhm.
months, and that was where I knew things were changing for him, because he wasn't thinking about the doll at home. He was already on an adventure in reality. He was going to go home to the false livelihood of the girlfriend doll, but he was having a real life adventure with Margot on the bowling alley. And when those other people joined them during the bowling, I didn't know how that was going to turn out. I thought they were going to mess with him in a way that didn't need to happen, but
Mhm.
to be just trying to be friendly to him and be outwardly friendly and helpful.
Mhm.
So they didn't seem to be harmful. And at that point in the movie, like it really felt like things were getting to that climax.
Yeah, so like the scene in the hardware store where his brother worked, and the brother had been talking to his friends at work, that we don't know how long he's worked there, but apparently he had a good relationship with most of these guys. And they were kind of teasing a little bit about it, but they took it as a, they felt for the brother having to deal with his brother having this problem. You know what I mean? And it seemed real to me. It seemed like that could be plausible, what was going on in that business, the way these guys were talking about his brother. To me, it seemed real. It didn't seem like it was so far. See, at first it seemed like it was, oh my God, this is going to be so far fetched. I'm never going to ever get into it. You know, I'm not going to be able to absorb this and make it reality. You know what I mean? Even though I know it's a movie the whole time. But I was really surprised by how well each character portrayed their part so well to me, that I was able to accept that it was a story, and that this could be plausible. This could really be true. I mean, even though it's not true, it could be true. because of the way that they handled the situation and how each of the people handled the character dealing with the problem. That right there is what made it really good. Like the little hardware scene, and the scene with the at the church when the pastor's in there with the parishioners, and they're talking about, okay, are we going to be able to do this? Are we going to have her coming into the church, and all this stuff? And the pastor goes, well, what would Jesus do? So I don't know. It was kind of comical in a way because of the whole situation, but it seemed like it could be plausible. So at the same time, to me, when I watched it.
If you guys watch this movie and you guys disregard it, you don't care about it, that's completely on you, up to you. And I'm not going to think ill or great about you for doing this. If you want to watch it, it's completely your thing. But I would love to have, and that would probably the town is like the one part of the movie that kind of falls flatter than any other part. Although that's probably the weakest part about it, because everybody in the town just kind of like grabs onto it and carries the ball. Like we're gonna cosplay with this guy. We're gonna role play this entire thing out.
But see, I didn't get that from it, because when he was pushing her around the chair, walking by, people were like turning their head, like staring at him, like, what the,
Yeah.
So it wasn't like every person in the town. They did have people that were staring.
True.
And to me, that even made it more plausible, because that's exactly what would happen.
Yeah. I felt like there was a lot of people that were just willing to we're going to go on this psychosis together. But that's probably the only part of the movie some of you might feel like is unrealistic. It's a movie. It's not real life. It is fun to watch, but at the same time, I wish I lived in a town like that now.
Me too. That's how I felt. Isn't that terrible? That we want something like that so bad that we're wishing we lived somewhere like that. I just like the feeling, the people all wanting to help each other. That is what made me want that town so bad. Is I felt like I wish I could live somewhere where people really felt like that about each other, or was willing to do whatever they could to help their neighbor, basically. That would be so nice. But I know it's not reality, so. But I'm still that way. I'm still going to be that way, because that's what my mom would have wanted. And I just want my mom to be proud of me. And I do the best I can at trying to be the best person I can.
The movie made me think. The movie made me think really just in ways that I wasn't comfortable with thinking, especially the second viewing, where I thought this is probably more trouble than it's worth, even to the point where the guy's life was turning around. I probably would not have been a helpful neighbor. Because I'm going to say that I probably would have not have. I mean, I would have understood it later, but I would have been so unhelpful. I would have been the person in town that would just stare like, honey, he's
Take a
driving
picture
around a sex doll, and I
get your cell phone out.
Yeah, like, honey, we got to YouTube this shit, and it's just one of those things that I would love to live in a town like that, but at the same time, I would be one of those detractors. I would not be a healthy individual that would be there like trying like, okay, it's all right. Come on, Lars. I would not have been as nice as those people that were so close to him in the church. And that's one thing I do got to say, that the people that were involved with our church project in the little bitty town I grew up in, those people had a community. So like if Tommy's wife was ill, not only would they be prayers for her in church, but you'd see people going to Tommy's wife's hospital room and dropping off like flowers if something bad happened, and dropping off casserole dishes. If somebody's wife or husband dies in my old community where I lived in Illinois, you're guaranteed to have to diet in about 3 months because you put on 30 pounds because
Yep.
of all the food.
hmm Yeah,
And
and I had lots of that type of stuff in my growing up because my dad was in the Air Force and we traveled around, but we were with other people in the Air Force, and they were all very supportive of each other. And our church wasn't so much like some of the churches around where I'm at right now because they were non-denominational. There wasn't a certain way. You didn't have to stand up and sit down, stand up and sit down like you do at Catholic churches. And it was just straightforward where the pastor just read from the Bible and we sang a couple songs and we go home. That was it, because it wasn't a specific religion that they were preaching. It was just non-denominational. It just standard, I guess, church services. So I didn't have anything pointing me in any direction of what religion I had to be or anything like that. It was just that do you believe in God or not, basically. So it just depends on how you're raised, on whether or not you'd be a helpful citizen or not a helpful citizen, or your age. A person to me that's maybe over 35 or 38, or but younger than in their 60s, because I think once a person's over a certain age too, they're less likely to be involved in certain things because, oh my, look at those radicals or those hoodlums or what, just from my point of view of what I see with people. But the younger generation would be the one doing all the TikTok videos of the crazy guy pushing a real doll around in a wheelchair, and it would be all over TikTok. If they made that same movie today, I could see that it would be made way differently, but I could see that it would be a heartwarming story if you had the right people making it. But I don't know. I think that I could do it. I think I could want to be one of the people to help with them. And and plus I think it would depend on who the person was in your life, whether or not you'd be more active in it. If it was your dad or your brother or your child, that's what I'm saying. I think everybody would take it differently depending on who it was and what their psychosis was. Could be somebody. I watched some documentaries and they had a one couple on there that had Siamese twins that were joined at the head, and whenever they would go anywhere, with their babies in this thing, people would stare at them and point and stuff like that. And then there was other people that were very supportive and volunteered to come over and babysit and help change diapers and do whatever because it was so expensive for childcare. Then you have other ones that one of them had a disorder and where your skin just would grow and grow and grow on one side of her face. So I love those documentaries because to me they're very real in how these people deal with these horrible things that happen to their families, and then what they're doing, what kind of medical treatment they're getting or whatever else. So maybe that might be one reason why this movie hit me in a certain way, because of what kind of thing that I've already involved in, in my life. So that's what I'm saying. It would depend on the person. But, like last week, we watched that movie Heat. I'd never seen it, and I thought it was kick-ass. I loved it. I thought it was great. It's a great movie. But it's a totally different movie. It's a totally different concept, a different view of someone's life and what's going on. And at the end, I was rooting for Robert De Niro to get the girl and get to leave, but it didn't happen. But what I'm saying is I can enjoy tons of different movies and still have a physical or a mental connection with the characters, because I think I'm able to put myself in the different situations depending on what the movie's about. And that's why there's very few movies that I don't like, because I guess I'm just weird because I can spread myself out real thin apparently, or something. I don't know, but I love movies. I love being able to escape somewhere else for a while. And I don't know, I just one of those people that can I'm glad I like this movie though. I'm glad I'm the kind of person that could see it, and almost instantly I connected with him because I knew that he had something wrong with him, and that because of his sister being pregnant, something was up with that, and then I really focused on it, trying to find out what it was, what happened to him, or were they going to show us what happened to him? Because when she was coming out of the house to come over at the very beginning, and he's hiding, he's hiding away in the window, didn't want her to see him, even though she knew he was there because his car is there. Where else would he be, So I
Yeah.
knew something was up. I didn't know what was wrong with him. I didn't know if he was mentally retarded or what, So it took a little bit to watch him and find out. When he started having the discussion with his sister-in-law about how dangerous it was, I knew it had something to do with her being pregnant. I just didn't know what. I had to put that stuff together, but it was interesting. He drew me in right away because there was something unique about him or something different that I had to figure out. So,
See, I Shadow and Sun says I cannot separate the actors from their real life antics. I can separate them. Because I know Ryan Gosling is not like a happy little mentally developmentally disabled individual living in Ontario. I know this. But I know that he probably doesn't agree with me on 90% of my thoughts and my stances and my morality and my opinion on free speech and guns. I get it. But I completely could see myself sitting down with him and just asking him where he got the inspiration for a few of the movies, characters he's done. Like, I really like the movie Drive. As much as Drive is just almost a two-dimensional movie, it really is a good movie for what it gives you.
mm-hmm.
Another movie
In that movie.
You haven't seen it?
I haven't seen Drive yet. No.
If you get a chance, check it out. When you do, let me know.
Okay.
I'm going to say that's your homework assignment.
But I like his movies. I'm sure I would like it. At least trying to watch it.
You'll probably enjoy the movie. For what it is a very basic film, but it's shot really well. And his character has a few motivating factors which are easy to see, but it's done very well. Another movie that's a little bit like that is out of Jakarta, Indonesia, called Raid: The Redemption, which it's pretty interesting because it was released about the same time as Drive, but everybody that saw the Raid movie said it's just an Indonesian version of Dredd. And I thought, but Carl Urban played the perfect Dredd, and this movie gives us, instead of Dredd and guns in an apartment building, it gives us martial arts in an apartment building.
I love martial art movies.
Uh-oh.
I mean, I loved like the what was the name of that one about Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, stuff like that. I love all those kind of movies. They're some of my very favorite.
This one might take over your favorite slot. I'll throw it on at some point you need to see this movie.
Like Kill Bill. I loved Kill Bill too.
Okay, if you like Kill Bill, then you're gonna have to probably need to watch The Raid.
Okay, let me write it down. Let me get a pencil.
I'll go one better for you. I'll give
The
you
Raid?
The Raid.
Okay. Okay, there was a movie I watched. I cannot remember the name of it at all. And I was really young, and it was in black and white. And I think my dad was watching it. And I went in there and sat down. And I remember sitting on the floor and watch it. And I thought the movie, I couldn't get up after I sat down. I think I was maybe 7, something like 6 or 7 when I watched it. And it was in black and white, and it was a samurai warrior, because I could tell by his clothes, and he had a wagon. He was pulling a kid in it. And he was fighting people. And I don't even remember. I think it had subtitles, so I don't remember that much about it at all. But it was so good. I remember, and I think after that is when I started wanting to watch all those samurai movies. And I loved Godzilla, all the old Godzilla movies. I loved all them. I would stay home on a date on a weekend and not go on a date just so I could watch Saturday Night Live and any Godzilla movie.
Feature after that.
Loved all that stuff. I mean, I was a geek ever since I was a kid, and I just love that stuff. And I could watch them over and over again. I mean, that's Godzilla movies I could watch now. You know, Godzuki. I mean, all of that. It was so corny. Everybody would laugh at me and say how stupid I was because I like that kind of stuff. But I don't care.
When I was growing up, and you might be a little older than me or a little younger than me, I'm not certain. I'm not worried about it. But there was a cartoon on in '81 of Godzilla, and he had baby Godzilla with him, who was named Godzuki.
Mhm.
And these people were on board this cargo ship, and they would summon Godzilla with a pager, and Godzilla would come out of the water. You remember
I
this?
remember seeing the cartoon. This was everything I watched was like claymation or the puppet people dressed up in puppet clothes. I don't remember watching a cartoon.
Okay. Well, I'm going to have to. Oh, boy.
But I love cartoons though. But I
Okay.
I love the Star Trek cartoon series. And then I watched another one. I liked what was the other one? Just give me a second. I'm trying to remember. There was tons of cartoons because my mom never watched cartoons at all, but my dad watched a lot of old cartoons and stuff. Is that it? That might be it. Shogun Assassin? I'll have to see.
I have no idea.
I'm going to write that down so I can look it up and see if I can find the trailer for it. And see if that's it or not. Because I'll never forget that guy's face. And he was, all I know is his hair was longer, it was all wavy, and he had it pulled back for a while, but then it kind of got, I guess, messed up when he was fighting people, with his sword. And I don't know what the kid had to do with it. I was a little kid. I don't really remember that much. I just remember the fight scenes was so cool. I thought that I always wanted to be a ninja or something when I grew up.
We were in that time period. We grew up in that time period where we had Canon Films, and Canon Films was like the worst movie house of all time, and they made movies with Charles Bronson. So if you ever had like a
My mom loved Charles Bronson movies. Yeah. And Burt Reynolds. Mom loved Burt Reynolds. And then she also loved, what's that other guy that played, let's see. He was in Victor Victoria. And I can't remember his name right this minute. My mom loved it. He had a TV show and he was like a detective or something. Oh, darn it. Just give me a second. I'm trying to remember. I can see his face. My mom thought he was so handsome. I can't remember what his name was. I'm going to look it up real quick on my phone. Sorry.
If you guys can't tell, I'm going to recommend that you watch the movie, the Lars and the Real Girl. While Janet's looking up some other film, I'm going to recommend it. It'll make you think. If you put yourself in that position, put yourself in a position to where this is a friend of yours that you care about their well-being, not some person that you like seeing them like get pulled out of a car wreck. Okay, that's not the intent. I saw Tommy.
A loved one, someone you care about.
Yeah, somebody you care about. Exactly. You don't want to think about this like that jerk that fucked up my deli order. I'm so happy. I saw him get pulled out of his Chevy Citation, and his real doll was pulled out in 3 pieces. No, this is not the brain exercise I want it to be.
But the actor was James Garner. That actor.
Oh, James Garner's one of my favorites.
Yeah, my mom just loved him. She thought he was such a good actor, and he was in a couple things that my mom really liked. But it's just a bunch of different actors that I remember growing up because I watched lots of stuff like that with my parents. Some of my favorite shows my parents watched.
Your sister saw the worst movie of all time to her is The Crawling Hand.
Oh, that's right. I remember she had nightmares for a long time
Travis is telling us you need to watch Cast a Deadly Spell.
Okay, I'm gonna write that.
Cast a Deadly
I
Spell.
love scary movies.
I have no idea if this is scary or if this is just it's a 1990.
Well, he said in the chat earlier, I thought I saw he said that he loves scary movies. So
it's a Fred Ward movie.
Favorite.
Fred Ward, Julianne Moore, David Warner, and Clancy Brown. Okay, with those 4 people, I've got to see it. I don't know if you want to do that for our next movie.
Yeah, you get to pick this time, and next time I promise I'll try to pick something I don't think that you'll be so damaged by.
I wasn't damaged by it. There's a couple of different ways that you can go about this movie. You can say like this is a movie that's really good because after the first act, after you're done making fun of the guy, you think of the things that like what would you do for your friends or family? How would you help them cope with a problem? Like,
see, you don't get that, do you? You don't get that very often where you get to watch a movie. It's about mental health, and you don't even know it. You don't even realize that the movie is around mental health, basically. You know what I mean? And if you saw the trailer, which you said you didn't really pay attention to, when I saw the trailer, I didn't see anything that looked like it was about mental health at all.
No.
It just looked like a comedy or dramedy about a guy that brings home a sex doll and how everybody treats him for it. That's what I got from it. And so when I watched it, I was like, wow, this is way deeper than I expected it to be. So, but I really enjoyed it because the acting was so good to me. I thought the acting, just like you said, the setting, you could tell they really went into a lot of detail. Like when he's getting dressed to take the doll over to his brother's, he tries on like 5 different sweaters, and he's brushing his teeth and brushing his hair like he was going to go on a real date. So you don't realize any of that until he's sitting in the living room with the doll, So all the lead up to it is that he's got a real date. But who is she? It's not the girl from work. And then you see who she is, and you're like, what the? And you don't know what to think about it. But the whole thing is, it was funny the way they led up to it. And then the brother, the sister is so excited about him not worrying about him because now he's got somebody. You know what I mean? And then when they see it, then they go, oh my God, we're in deep trouble because this guy's really messed up. So it changes everything.
What do you think about the movie Brainstorm?
Brainstorm. Why does that sound familiar?
We were talking about it.
With Christopher Walken?
It's Chris Walken and Natalie Wood.
Oh, I would love to watch that again. I loved it. I think I've seen it like 5 times, something like that. But I love Natalie Wood. And I also like Christopher Walken a lot. I still like Christopher Walken. I'm going to write that down. It's called Brainstorm?
Yes.
I thought it was called something different. That's probably why I didn't connect it.
There might have been another movie like it.
Yeah, I've got that written down. So whatever movie you want me to watch, will be fine. I mean,
yeah, I want you to watch a movie called Brainstorm because I think that's the movie we were both thinking of. I might be wrong, but I want to revisit this movie really bad.
Well, do you want me to look it up and see if that is the real name of it, or are you doing that?
If I think it is, it's either Brainstorm or Dreamscape, one of those two, and either of those movies would be my next 2 picks because I think those movies are fantastic. I just haven't seen Dreamscape since I was like 12.
Okay, Brainstorm is the one. That's the one. Okay, good. I'll watch that one for sure because I like both those actors. And there's a couple other people in it that's really good too. I can't remember their names, but I'm seeing their faces in my head, and they were good actors too.
Travis, I'm going to watch Cast a Deadly Spell for you in between now and then, and I'll get back with you.
Yeah, I'm going to watch it too.
Yeah. Janet, I'm going to probably wrap the stream up here.
Okay.
And it's just got a message here. So I'm going to need to, as much as I wanted to go full 2 hours, we're going to be about an hour and 50 minutes into this, and that'll be the shutoff point. But yes, I do look like Steven Seagal. Yes, I do. I know. So I wanted to just enjoy the time. I really like these Monday movie night reviews with you, and want to
Thank
say
you.
thank you
It's
for
been
having
really,
me.
really fun. Thank you so much. And I appreciate that you think that my opinion means so much or means something.
I appreciate it.
Oh,
Our chat seems to enjoy it too. We've had the same. We've had a lot of good people in our chat pop in and out tonight. Mr. George Lucas, wherever you are, sir, I hope and pray that you continue to have good health because I love your work, sir. And I'm very appreciative of the things that you've brought in this world for us. Uh, for everybody else, Baron, Kathy, Vanessa, for those of you that were here earlier, Memes Destruction, Travis, thank
Shadow
you.
and Sun.
Yes,
Is
thank
it
you,
right?
Shadow Sun.
You said Real Men. Is that a movie? You know what
Yeah,
movie I would like to watch? I would like for you to watch. I don't know if you've seen it. It's a movie. It's called Just One of the Guys.
in 1985.
Yeah, my sister and Sandy and I were talking about it the other day because we were talking about how much we wish we had a brother. And this kid in this movie that plays the brother of the main character, we both were laughing because we said we would love to have had him as our brother. If we had a brother, would he be like this kid? And I think he would have if he's anything like me because it's like me as a guy, I think. So we'll see. But that's a movie. If you later on, if you decide you want to do it, it's a good movie.
We'll check it
I
out.
way better than this movie was because it's not a it's a real comedy. It's really good.
Okay.
So we'll see.
Thank you, everybody, for stopping by. Janet, I
Thank you, guys.
really appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you too, Bruce. I really appreciate it. I've loved this. This has been so much fun.
And guys, we're gonna with that. Thank you for showing up. We'll see you again next Monday night. One guy, one girl, and a movie review.
Awesome. Bye bye.